Shabbat Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem, Mokar. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching His word truthfully and sincerely. Shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And I say, Shabbat Shalom, as I mentioned before, to your Akim out there. And this is a sit-down lesson in the news on this October 10th, 2022, 144, called Halal Yahweh Al Shai. On this Monday afternoon, on this October 10th, 2022 at 1:44 p.m. Central Standard Time. And this is the book of Mark, chapter 13, verse 8, and it reads, through the Holy Scriptures, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows, right? And I'm about to bring this news article, because, hey, that heavy, I believe, Vladimir Putin blamed Ukraine for that bridge collapse happened about a couple of days ago, and then you had this happen right here. So hey, that tense fighting is increasing over there against Russian and Ukrainians. You know, that's that increase of nations rising against nations and kingdom against kingdoms, and the wars and rumors of wars are definitely heating up as well too. And this is a news article, and I believe this has happened, Monday morning? I mean, Salakia, today is Monday. I meant to say Tuesday, going the day ahead, but today is Monday, October 10th, 2022. I wanted to reiterate that, make a correction on that. Now, back to this news article. For my sit-down lesson for today. You know, and this is from RT.com, and this was published October the 10th, 2022, on this Monday afternoon, 1:46 p.m. Central Standard Time. And the highlight of this news article to read, because this is RT News, alternative news around the world. And it reads, Central Kiev, which is in Ukraine, hit by missile strikes. It says one rocket reportedly landed in the street where the country's main security agency is located. And it says Russian missiles struck multiple targets in Central Kiev on Monday morning. The mayor, Valery Kaliskov, wrote on his Telegram channel. He urged residents to seek shelter and avoid traveling, because I believe that bridge explosion, it was like 4 or 5 people had killed, and there was a lot of were injured. So you know, Russia is blaming Ukraine for that bridge attack, you know. And this is what happened in response of Russia launching multiple strikes and in continuing different parts of in Ukraine as well too, as this Russia-Ukraine war intensifying and heating up now more than ever. And it's not going to slow down anytime soon, because we're seeing more signs of that, you know, especially in the news, you know. And these rumors of wars between these two different nations are definitely heating up, and it's going to increase, and it's going to continue to intensify, and that's what we're seeing right now. And it says Russian missiles struck multiple targets in Central Kiev on Monday morning. Mayor Vladimir Kaliskov wrote on his Telegram channel. He urged residents to seek shelter and avoid traveling to the capital. Kaliskov said that the city is critically fractured, has been hit, and Anton Goriskiko, if I pronounce his last name right, an advisor to the Internal A minister said that a missile struck in Vladimirsky Street, where the main office of the City Service of Ukraine (SBU) is based. The Krinskinol shared videos on Telegram showing clouds of smoke above the skyline and said there several several civilians were several civilian vehicles were destroyed. And these are photos right here. And I'm gonna show the second second video. And it's the third one. I guess they blurred the third scene. I guess it was kind of graphical, I guess. It says, continuing on with the reading of the news article, it says the advisor added that the subway services has been partially suspended in Kyiv, and all underground stations are serving as shelters. And the Grinsko later said that 5 civilians were killed and 12 injured in the capital. These are photos right here in that region got hit. It says strikes were also in the eastern city of Dnipro and explosions in Lviv, western Ukraine. The National Railway operator warned that some trains could be delayed due to the damage to the tracks. In the Post-Telegram channel, President Vladimir Zelensky confirmed that there have been missile strikes across Ukraine. Unfortunately, there are dead and wounded, he wrote it.
Вот, ударили здесь. Вот Шевченко. Есть раненые. Уже цивильные помогают и скорая помощь. Перекрываем сейчас движение, пробку рассасываем.
So it was a 44-second clip right there showing the area. And it says the 229th day of a full-scale war. On the 229th day, they are trying to destroy us and wipe us off the face of the earth completely. Destroy our people who are sleeping at home in Zaporozhye. Kill people on their way to work in Dnipro and Kyiv. The air alarm does not stop throughout Ukraine. There are missiles hitting. Unfortunately, there are dead and wounded people. Please do not leave shelters. Take care of yourselves, your loved ones. Let's hold on and be strong. And it says, continuing on, it says the reported strikes come after Moscow accused security service of orchestrating the truck bombing that damaged the Crimean Bridge, which connected to the peninsula with the mainland Russia on Saturday, and at least 3 people were killed in the attack, the authorities said. Ukraine has neither confirmed nor denied involvement. However, several high-ranking officials, government agencies, openly celebrated the bombing. So that's another proof of increasing nations rising up against nations and kingdom against kingdom. And I'm bringing that book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 9. So yeah, that war over there in Ukraine is definitely intensifying. They said this is the 229th day of this war ever since February of Russia invaded Ukraine, because you know Russia look at it as a military operation. How the way the looks of it, it looks like way more than a military option. It looks like a war on Ukraine, you know. It really looks like a war, because you look at that whole country over there, Ukraine. It look like a war zone. It like a battlefield war zone. It's so messed up over there. And this is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 9. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be ye not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Right, because Yahweh Shemal Shai, you know, in red letter, you know, Yahweh Shemal Shai saying that, you know, this is just the beginning, because the end is not yet, because more prophecies coming to pass, you know, with the MOTB coming around, Revelations 11 and 14, as I mentioned previously in my videos, about these things about to pending and coming very soon, slowly but surely. That Revelations 11 and 14. Second woe is past, behold, third woe coming quickly, because we had the first woe, second woe. Now we are ending the beginning stages of World War III, which is WW3, which is increasingly, and is going to increase more and more and more, you know. As I mentioned before, with the nations rising up against one another, and different kingdoms and different nations increasingly going against one another, you know. And it's not just only going to be in one spot, it's going to be in other spots as well too, especially over there with the Israel-Palestine thing, Israeli-Palestine, tensions between those two different nations, race of people, that intensifying, increasing, continuing ongoing conflict between those two different nations, the Israeli-Palestine conflict, that's going to increase more and more and more, even though we're so used to hearing about those two going at it with each other. But it's going to intensify, increase more and more and more, you know. There's going to be continuing conflict, increasings of wars and rumors of wars over there in the Middle East, over there in Europe as well too, with the Russia-Ukraine thing, you know. So yeah, and I believe the president of Belarus, because Russia and Belarus, you know, they're allies with one another, you know, especially their military allies. And I believe they had agreed to a commitment to deploy more troops, because I had read an article, I believe earlier this morning when I had woke up, about, because they're getting more attention, they're getting more warlike type attention from Ukraine and from the Western countries as well too, you know, because they put all the blame on Russia with the energy and gas thing, and with the starting the war in Ukraine. So that's why I believe 1,000 troops were deployed in that region over there, from Belarus. So you got the Russian troops and Bolivian troops gonna collide together, you know, against the warnings they get from the Western countries and from the Ukraine soldiers as well too, you know, and the ones that's allied with them, you know.
I ain't trying to fuck that everybody.
Yeah.
That bill cost $600.
So good.
I'm seeing a truck calling today. I buy some more locks so when I head your keys.
All right.
You see? I ain't doing that. I ain't gonna buy. I get another tunnel with some more keys on to make set the keys.
Yeah.
They gonna change the keys anyway. And put it back up there, you know, before I move.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get another bar cheap.
Right.
I just ain't trying to mess this lady apartment up. If I ain't trying to move nowhere right now. So I get a fucking house.
Yeah.
Serious that.
Yeah. I hear.
Rent the house off the bottom. I'm gonna build the house for you.
Right.
You know. Y'all kids, y'all have somewhere to stay. It ain't my shit.
Right.
I get a house, auction to buy.
Yep.
Paying on it. I build a house, so you done lay y'all together.
Right.
You be the head one that time. You say, oh, you can't come in here.
Yeah. Yep.
And next thing, I'm gonna get some insurance.
Yep.
Them two things, you wanna get a house and some insurance. Yeah. You get that bitch, you try to get this land together, put this car down.
Right.
I'll be good. I was gonna get you to activate that car from my way, cause they closed today.
Yeah, today is the holiday.
Stuff, you know that's to pay on.
Right. Yeah, today is the holiday today.
Yeah, I sell some stamps to pay them off.
Right.
I don't want to get me some goops or something.
Right.
A lot of shit. Just get my credit going.
Yeah.
Everybody need credit. That just said they're getting about $300 back. Everybody need credit.
Yep.
They ain't gonna get to the junk because you ain't got to lean on that court.
Right.
You can't play with no bank. Remember I had to pay that money back to TCL Bank
Yep.
before I get in account. Because I don't owe them people that used to be TCL. It's something else now.
Right.
See, I still got a bank. That bank, I've been in that bank shit about 15 years.
Yeah.
More about 20. When I started working, about 30 years, man.
Yeah.
Because I started working 15 years. It's going on 20 now.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and put the wash in there. I feel because the truck and doing, I ain't got no $600 pay about.
Right.
Wait till, yeah, Mom, I got Blair, get your bill, get the fuck on. Put some brakes in there too. You gotta put that in here, because you tell people shit. You make a glass out there, fuck, you gotta pay for it.
Right.
This ain't my shit. You can't tell people shit. This your dog, we want this wood, we put the cold one back on there.
Right.
You could put one of them bathroom locks on there. You got to lock it from it. It ain't got no key.
Right.
Yeah. Put one of them on there.
That's true.
Yeah. But I'm gonna buy a lock for something like that.
Oh, okay. Salakia for that. Have a conversation with my OG. But yeah, like I mentioned before, you know, Russia and Belarus and the president of Belarus of his country, he had deployed troops, you know, just in case of, you know, Russia is catching heat from the Western countries that's allies with Ukraine, you know, that backs up Ukraine, you know, and you know, Russia and Belarus, you know, they made an agreement and a commitment of Belarus to deploy more troops over there, you know. I believe over 2,000 or 1,000 troops, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, hey, this is the increasing buildup of the nations against nations and kingdom against kingdoms. And we're gonna see it increase and intensify more than ever. Now, if I can be able to look up that article. Oh yeah, here, yep, that's the spirit called Yabashim Shah. And this is a news article, you know, like I just mentioned before, about Russia and Belarus. You know, they allies with one another. You know, they allies with Russia and President Vladimir Putin. And this is a news article from RT.com, once again, published on October the 10th, 2022. And it reads, the Belarus announced troop deal with Russia. President Luskinsko orders the host and deployment of thousands of Russian soldiers in response to Western aggression. Right, and that's the United States. In Western countries, it's allies with Ukraine, you know. And it says Russia, and I believe the EU is well too. No, not EU, Slovakia. Meant to say NATO. NATO with the Western countries and United States that fully back up and support Ukraine against Russia and Belarus. That's why you got Russia and Belarus teamed up and clicked up with one another. And it says Russia and Belarus has begun forming a joint force will include several thousand Russian troops. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko announced on Monday during a security meeting. He said the move comes in response to increased aggression from Kiev and the West. And as I showed you that news article of Russia was launching those barrage of missiles over there in Kiev and in the western part of Ukraine as well too. And it says the Belarusians leader said that the plan was decided when he held a face-to-face meeting with his ally partner Vladimir Putin, president of Russia, on the sidelines of an informal CI summit in St. Petersburg last week. In response to the aggravation of the western border of the Union State of Russia and Belarus, we agreed to employ a regional grouping of Russian Federation and the Republic of Belarus, Lukashenko said. He noted that since most of the troops are currently busy with the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, the core of this joint force will consist the armed forces of the Republic of Belarus, but there will nevertheless be more than 1,000 Russian soldiers. Lensko added that the formation of this group has been underway for the past 2 days. He also claimed that Kiev is currently planning to carry out attacks against Belarus as being pushed to do so by the West. Kiev is not just discussing, but is planning an attack on the territory of Belarus. Right, so it makes sense because they're gonna drag in and get involved in the war as well too. It says, of course, the Ukrainians absolutely don't need this. Why would they open a second front on our southern borders? What for? This is completely madness from the military point of view, Lensko said. But nevertheless, a process has begun. They are being pushed by their masters to start a war against Belarus to put us into the conflict. Yep, as I mentioned, to simultaneously deal with both Russia and Belarus. He said, according to the Lukashenko, mix has already been warned through unofficial channels that an attack on Belarus from the territory of Ukraine is imminent. He claims that Kiev is threatening to carry out a series of attacks on Belarus and has already amassed up to 15,000 troops near the border. And it says the Belarusian leader said that the Kiev has threatened him with the Crimean Bridge too, reference to the recent attack on the bridge concerning mainland Russia with the Crimean Peninsula blamed by Moscow on Ukraine's special forces. My response this was simple, Lukashenko said. Tell the president of Ukraine and other lieutenants that the Crimean Bridge will seem like flowers to them if they touch even 1 meter of our territory with their 50 hands. Wow. It says Kiev has officially denied threatening an attack on Belarus, dismissing it as a pull by Moscow to stage a provocation. So yeah, these rumors of wars are definitely heating up. And I'm bring up that precept to Mark 13:8. I'm going to bring out Matthew 24 and 6 as I always normally do. And this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 6. And it reads, And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Right, because you're going to see more of these things increase more and more and more, especially on an everyday basis. How everything gets increasingly, in the current times that we're living in, because we're, living in that of a time of war, and it's increasingly more and more and more. And this is the book of Matthew 24 and 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Right, because you're going to see, as I mentioned before, stated previous times, and mention it once again, hey, these rumors of wars, nations rising up against nations, and that's what we're seeing at a higher level of the nations, definitely increasingly now more than ever in the latter days of these nations, definitely increasing against one another, we talking about, Ukraine used to be part of the USSR, and they separated from them, I believe, in 1994 or 1992, I believe. So, then the NATO was created, the EU. So, yeah, and these are Edomite countries. Edomite on Edomite crime, So that's what you got, that nations against nations and kingdom against different kingdoms, these Edomites is warring with each other. And that's what we're seeing. They was with each other at first, and sometime in history, now they separated from one another, Same thing like North Korea and South Korea. They cross-border neighbors. Now they're going against one another. And then you're going to have times where nations within their own nations are going to be going against each other as well, too. And then nations outside of their race are going to be going against one another as well, too. So you're going to have a whole nation going against another nation. That's why I brought it out. Nations rising against nations and kingdoms of against different kingdoms. Going to have an increase of different kingdoms going at it with one another, and different nations going at it with one another as well too, and nations within their nations going against each other as well too, and outside of their nations or going against other nations. So yeah, this definitely been increasing now more than ever. And Matthew 24 and 8. And all these are the beginning of sorrows, right? Because these are the beginning stages of sorrows. Because you're going to have these things going to ramp up at a higher level. Even though it's intensifying a little bit right now, but once it heats up, it's going to heats up and intensify, and it's going to increase more and more and more. And that's what we're seeing on an everyday basis, Spirits created for vengeance, love of many waxing cold, lawlessness increasing, uproars of the people of the world. And I believe I seen another article of the protesters of they was protesters. They was going against NATO and EU. I was like, how about that? Wow. Like the book says, Mark 3 and 25, if a house be divided, how shall it stand? These Edomites are divided against one another, and that's what we're seeing. These nations within their own nations going against one another, and Edomites of different nations going against one another as well too. And that's what we're seeing, of nations rising up against one another, and uproars of the people of the world. I believe that's in 2 Ezra 9 and 3. You shall see uproars of the people of the world. We're seeing that as well too. And I believe, I'm not trying to get off topic, I believe it was another article, it was saying, and it was, I believe it was a European country, they was protesting over the gas or something like that. So yeah, you're seeing many different things that's taking place on the planet Earth. And these are biblical prophecies increasing, you know. As the scriptures has stated, of these things are going to happen and take place on the planet Earth, you know, and that's what we're seeing. Because this is the year of 2022 of Yahweh Bashem Shai is turning up on things. As our beloved elder Apostle Tahar made that statement, you know, I reference to him, you know, he said that the year 2022 is going to be the turn up of Yahweh Bashem Shai is turning up on things. And the elder Apostle Tahar was 100% correct for that. The water Yahweh Bashem Shai, you know. Hey, and that's what we're seeing taking place. Of these nations rising up against one another, earthquakes in diverse places, famine, pestilence, diseases, you name it, etc. But back to the main topic at hand, you know, Matthew 24:8. These are the beginning of sorrows, right? These are the beginning stages of sorrows. And there's going to be many other different things that's taking place as well, too. Not only there's going to be, not just only wars and rumors of wars, nations rising up against nations. You're going to see many different things take place as well, too. You know, you're going to have nations warring, going to war with each other over gas and oil, even though that's been going on quite some while now. You're going to have that increase, you know, nations, and on a financial scale, you're going to have financial wars, economic wars, you know, class wars, people going to war over food, gas, money, economics, etc. So it's going to be in many different categories as well, too, you know. And I'm going to read it again, Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. And I believe I seen another article of over there in Greece, they got hit with a 5.4 earthquake. So that's a significant sign of increasing of earthquakes in diverse places. And we're seeing the nations rising up against nations and kingdom against different kingdoms as well, too. So the signs are there, you know, as it mentioned in these holy scriptures, of these things are, you know, going to happen. And that's what we're seeing. And I'm going to go back to verse 6, drop down to verse 6. Matthew 24:6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Right, because we've seen the signs of the increasing of the wars and rumors of wars. Because you're going to have, as I stated before in my previous videos, I'm going to state it again, you're going to have rumors of wars, just going to be 100% rumor. And you're going to have times where these rumors of wars are being actually happening, and comes to reality that it is going to happen, and we're seeing it right in front of our eyes, you know, of the rumors of wars coming to a reality that it is 100% true, that we are seeing these rumors of wars and these commotions of wars that's taking place on the planet Earth, you know. I'm gonna bring out that book of Ezekiel, as I mentioned about. I was reading that news article on, you know, Russia and Belarus. They getting heat from the EU and NATO and these Western countries as well too, you know. But Yahweh Bashem Shai is definitely going to put the spirit on these Russian, because Russia represents the bear, you know, Gog and Magog, and that's in the book of Ezekiel that I'm about to bring out right now. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, verse 1. Even though Yahweh Bashem Shai against these Russian Edomites as well too. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog in the land of Magog, because Gog and Magog is the modern-day Russians, and the chief priests of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Ezekiel 38 and 3. And say, Thus saith the Lord God, Yahweh thy power. Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, and the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Ezekiel 38 and 4. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thy army and horses and horsemen, Salakia, and all of them clothed with all sorts of army, even with great company and bucklers and shields, and all of them handling with swords. Ezekiel 38 and 5. Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, and with them, all of them, right? Because the Persians, that's the modern day Iranians. Ethiopia is the Cushites. Libya, that's Cush too, even though you got Ishmael down there as well too. It says with them, all of them, with shields and helmets. Gomer, Ezekiel 38 and 6. Gomer, because Gomer is the modern day Turkish, because you're seeing Turkish operation armies stationed in Iraq and Syria in the Middle East as well too. They're going to get involved in it as well too. Ezekiel 38 and 6. And all his bands and the house of Togomor and of the north quarters, and all of his bands and many people with thee. Ezekiel 38 and 7. Be thou prepared and prepare thyself, and all thy companies that are assembled unto thee, and thou shalt be a guard unto them. So yeah, hey, Yahweh Shem Shai against Magog and the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Hey, Yahweh Shem Shai is against all these nations. And Yahweh Shem Shai prophesying against these nations, and that's what we're seeing. That's what he's seeing, all these rumors of wars escalating and increasing between the nations and different kingdoms as well too, you know. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. And first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Bakar. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching this word truthfully and sincerely. Shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem Bakar. And until next time, I will say Shabbat Shalom and a ball.